And now for our feature presentation.
You're listening to the JB and Goldwater Show. Live, loud, and online.
He's going to go into the end zone.
Puts it up. Yes! There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
American Fool is finally the one. American Fool has won the Triple Crown.
And Barnes hits one high. It's a dig. It is out of here. High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson, and the Tigers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw.
Here are your hosts, Janie Bradford and Darren Goldwater.
All right, greetings and a good Monday afternoon, rainy Monday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen. Check them out at stokesvw.com. You can find us at jbandgoldwatershow.com. It is Monday, September the 28th. This is the final 3 days of the month of September, and then on into October, and the holiday season we go. And we'll be here all along to get you right through it. Of course, football just starting in the SEC. We got plenty coming up on that. You can watch us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. You can listen on the Podbean app. It's all for free, and we certainly appreciate that. Follow us across all the social media platforms out there at JB and Goldwater individually, at Sports Radio JB. He is at Darren Goldwater, and we certainly appreciate that. 843-321-8893 is our phone number. It's also our text line. If you've got comments, questions, concerns, critiques, whatever it may be, send them through. If you want to give us a call and talk to us, sure, absolutely. We'd love to take your phone call. But if you can't do that, just shoot us a message. You can do that on the Podbean app, on Twitter, on Facebook, and we'll try to answer those questions here on our program. Wes Mitchell with Gamecock Central at 12:30. Reggie Merriweather for a few minutes at 1:30 on Clemson's matchup coming up this weekend with Virginia. We do have some NFL notes to get to. The postseason is set in Major League Baseball, so that's all ahead. But obviously, Darren, we're going to lead off here with college football and what happened this weekend in the SEC and elsewhere across the country. A couple of major upsets, and certainly about to get into Tennessee and South Carolina.
So first of all, your voice sounds great. Was it nice to be screaming for a couple
I
hours?
had a phone call with someone this morning. I told him, I said this is sore throat season in the Bradford house. It generally lasts about 72 hours after the ball games, and then we move on. So by Wednesday, I'll be back at it. We'll be full throttle.
It's just like when broadcasters go a couple months without doing a game. You do a game, and you're gonna have a sore throat for a little bit. You just gotta get used to it.
Gotta work through it. Work through the kinks.
I would have rather been calling a game, which obviously isn't happening for me college-wise this year. But I had a hell of a Saturday because I had my screen set up for a maximum view of 4, 6, 7 games. And if I really wanted to minimize it down, I could just focus on 3, but it was easy to switch between them. So I loved my Saturday. I mean, if I'm not going to be at a game calling one, that's the way to do it. And I'll also say this for everyone of Jewish faith, have a good fast today. Happy New Year, Day of Atonement. Get rid of all those sins. We start anew.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Well done there, Mr. Goldwater. Much better than what happened at Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday night for the Gamecocks. Look, we'll just kind of lead this off here. I know that everybody knows that's what I know, and so we'll just not spend any more time dancing around this. Look, clearly South Carolina had chances to win the football game, and they did not do that. You can't you can't make mistakes in the SEC and expect to win a whole bunch, and you can't make big ones either and expect to win it all. And South Carolina made 2 major mistakes in the game. Early in the ball game, the ball thrown by Colin Hill, a little behind Shi Smith, but he should have caught it. Ricocheted into the hands of Toa, and then he runs it into the end zone, and Tennessee gets a pick 6. And then you got late in the ball game, obviously, the punt that ricocheted off of the hind leg of Cam Smith. And those are the 2 big ones that people are absolutely going to remember, and I get that, and that's true. We're going to talk to Wes about that in about 25 minutes. But Darren, look, they didn't get destroyed in the trenches, but they didn't win. The offensive line, for the most part, for Tennessee was really good. It might be the best offensive line in the league. This is not a reaction to what I saw. If you've listened to this show at all, you know that we've been saying this for a while. They're really good up there, and they were once again on Saturday night. I do think that South Carolina's defense actually played really well. I mean, there's a busted play or 2 in there that they'd like to have back, no doubt. But I think that up front they played okay. J.J. Enagbare certainly is what we think he can be. I mean, there's no doubt about that. On the offensive lines where they got beat, they got hammered. And, Colin Hill, I saw I happened to just kind of peek yesterday just for giggles at message boards, and there's threads all over the place. At what point in time, how long do we wait before we put Ryan Helinski in there? Let me just tell you something. Colin Hill's the right guy at quarterback.
I don't think there's any watching the game. If you came away with an assessment other than we need someone a little bit more mobile,
yeah,
fine. But
that guy's not there.
No, and if you watch him throw, and if you watch Hill go through his reads, he understands. We can talk all we want. Hey, we know he's going to understand the offense. He came with Mike Bobo. You can see the understanding, and you can see,
no question.
You could see the wheels in his head turning. Okay, that's not there. That's not there. I'm going there, and then the ball's delivered in a tight way. I mean, it's put for the most part where it needs to be with the pace it needs to be. I thought Hill, from a pocket quarterback standpoint, looked good, and he was not at all the reason you came out on the wrong end of this.
No, absolutely. He's the reason they had a chance to win the game.
I agree.
He played very well, very, very well. I mean, even a couple balls that he threw away, really smart decisions. But if I don't care who you put back there, you put Peyton Manning back there. If you can't protect him, it's going to be a long year. And South Carolina's going to get that cleaned up. I don't know if that means that they end up starting Turntine at left tackle this week and go ahead and move Wonham back to right tackle. But there was a problem there. The wide receiving core is an issue. That's an issue, and it has been an issue. And I know that there's talent in that group. There's no doubt. But it's an issue, and it's not even just from a pass-catching standpoint. I mean, I watched multiple guys lose blocks, get blown up on blocks. I mean, obviously, I was at the ball game, went back and rewatched it last night, and I knew what I was looking for when I watched it. And, that's a pretty poor grade for those guys. Shi Smith had another big game. That's 21 catches in 2 years against Tennessee. And, I think that's about 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 21 catches in 2 years. So, obviously, he's been the answer offensively for Carolina against the Vols. But outside of that, they haven't had much. I really like Kevin Harris at tailback. Kevin Harris is not an every down back. He's just not. He's a guy who you should probably be able to plug in on third and short. He's certainly, I can see why they said he was the most consistent in the preseason. No doubt about that. But the playmakers are Deshaun Fenwick and Zaquan White. Those kids need to play. Cut and dry. They need to play. Period. The end. And look, here's my biggest takeaway from this, Darren. This is my biggest takeaway. This football team just doesn't know how to win. And that's the biggest problem. Now, when do you get over the hump? How do you kind of refine that? Well, there's one thought process that says, well, if you go this week and pull a major upset in the Swamp, that'll help. Well, they pulled a major upset in Athens last year, and they haven't won since. So, I think they did. They maybe won one more game, but it's not been special. So what is that? Is it, who is that? Or is it a group of players who know how to win, and those guys they need to step up and lead? Is it getting on some type of winning streak? Well, that's going to be a little bit difficult this year with 10 straight in this league. And knowing what we saw this week in the SEC, Ole Miss, I've said it, careful, they're going to be good. Kentucky, careful, they're going to be good. So what's most important for South Carolina? What's most important? Well, what's most important is that they continue to improve. And they might improve this week and still lose in Florida. I mean, at this point in time, like when we make our picks on Friday, I'll just go ahead and give you a little sneak peek. How the hell am I going to pick them to win that game?
No. I mean, if you saw Florida at all, that's a team that in the SEC alone, it's Alabama, Florida, Mississippi State, put them in there, and then the rest.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's got things to – look, everybody has things to work on. Carolina has plenty of things to work on. So, Darren, finding that winning feeling is going to be hard. So you got to find the right guys who have it. And I think the quarterback has it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Colin Hill has it. Is it one of those other guys at tailback? There are guys on defense who've got that. J.J. Enagbare is a first-team kid in this league. I'm telling you, and Michael Flynn's been saying this, and he's right. This kid is good. He's really good. He had the best game of anybody on defense. Is he going down being day-to-day? That's tough. Sherrod Green going down being day-to-day right now is tough. If you don't have them in the swamp, with that offense that Florida's going to put on the field, your chances are minimal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you're able to run out there and just sustain a bunch of drives, which Carolina did do 3 times Saturday night, and that was good. I think they made some nice adjustments in the second half. I mean, Darren, they come out of the chute very similar to last year. And they score, ran right down the field and punched it in, and then from there, Tennessee makes adjustments on defense. Carolina can't get anything going offensively. They adjust at halftime and come back out and played pretty well in the second half. I'll tell you, though, a big moment in this game was the second drive for South Carolina because, they forced Tennessee to punt. It's a bad punt, and they get the ball, and they're able – you're able to – I don't even know if it was a punt. It might have been a turnover now that my mind's escaped me. But you've got it from basically the ball's 30-yard line. And I'm thinking Spurrier. And this was classic Spurrier in his whole career. If you get it on the other side of the field, take a shot to the end zone. Because as long as you don't turn it over, a couple of things are happening. Either you're going to score or you just stretched him out. And last night, Will Muschamp in his teleconference said that Bobo went into his office yesterday morning and said, we missed some opportunities to stretch the defense out throughout the ball game, and that was certainly one of them.
The quick change opportunities are huge. You hear coaches talk about it a lot because when you get the ball, not just on the plus side of the 50, I mean, anywhere close to midfield or beyond, take a shot. You got a defense that just ran onto the field. You got a defense that's just now getting set, whether they expected to come out there or not, whether they had a little bit of time to get out there or if it was a turnover and a quick change. You got to take a shot there. I fully agree. With Enagbare, I thought he was one of the few Gamecocks from a size perspective that looked the part. I thought the offensive line looked small. I mean, if you look at guys off the bus, that line for the Gamecocks looked small. And I don't know if it was Tennessee being as big and strong and physical as they are. I expect them to look small again next week against Florida. And I think if you want them to figure out how to win, this COVID age has been the worst possible thing for them because with a new offense, with a new quarterback back there, with some new pieces because of some injuries, you want to figure out how to win against teams of lower quality.
Yeah,
and you don't get that. Not only do you not get that chance, you get ramped up with a top 20 team and then, bam, Florida, who looked real good.
Yeah, then here come the Gators. If you're a glass half full instead of a glass half empty person, which I know, I get it. There's not a lot of you left out there right now. You're one mistake away from winning this game, and then all of a sudden having some optimism and saying, well, could we go to the swamp and win this game? You could point to 3 or 4 different plays in the game that you say, okay, had that one play happened, we would have won. 2, obviously, in particular. Those are the 2 big ones, but there's some others. So they were right there. Even saying all that, it's not like they got blown out. They were down 21-7 at one point in time, and they come roaring back and tie this thing at 21, and you start to feel good about yourself. And then, Tennessee's able to get it down the field and I think kick a field goal there to take the lead. But they were in it. They were in it. I know that there's been some columns out there. I don't disagree with Will Muschamp at all for not going for it on 4th and 12.
Mm-hmm.
I I think that would have been a bad move. You got to play percentages. So hold on. Let's think about this. All right. You're going to give it to the guy who's been kicking for 4 years and go ahead and take the 3 points. And then if you're able to still utilize your 3 timeouts, which they clearly had, you're going to get the ball back with about 90 seconds to go if all goes right, and you're going to have a chance to win the game. Or do you take a shot at going for 4th and 12? All right, yeah, you might get it. But if you don't, you leave Tennessee the football on about the 30-something yard line, and if they go down and even move it 35 yards and kick a field goal, the game's over. So Will decided, well, let me try to stay in the game here and then kick off, and let's let them work back from the 25 and see what they try to do. And I know they got 1 first down, but he's able to stop them on the next 3. And all went right until the ball ricocheted off Cam Smith's leg. And you could tell by the reaction of Jamie Robinson running off the field going, my God. So obviously, clearly he was screaming something.
Poison apparently is the Gamecocks word for it.
And it wasn't heard.
No.
And they missed that. And my condolences to Cam Smith because this kid is a really good player and he had a really bad game. He fell down on that ball down the field. It would have been Izzy's side, and Josh Palmer caught it. And then obviously the ball ricochets off him. So there's 2 crucial plays there that didn't go in their favor, and you got this young man out there doing the best he can, and it just didn't work out. I see Tim Frisbee, former wide receiver at South Carolina, said what's most important is Carolina right now is that they stay competitive. Ugly losses would compound the misery. No easy outs in the SEC this year, going to have to scratch and claw to the finish. And Tim's exactly right. I mean, obviously, if you respect people in life, he's one of them you might want to. Because he served our great country and came back and played college football afterwards at the ripe old age of, how old were you, Tim? 40 years old, 41, something like that. And he's right about that. So, Darren, I saw a lot of fire out of this football team. I saw it on the sidelines. I saw it rewatching the game last night. There's a lot of guys that give a damn, and that's important. But how do you take that energy this week and make it positive energy and turn that into something that even if you lose at Florida, you still feel like you're going in the right direction because Vanderbilt is up next. And then you do have Auburn coming to town. And nobody right now should expect you to win that game. But if you can get things going in the right direction, it is possible to win a game or two that you're not supposed to win. And as Tim Frisbee just said, and he's right, you got 10 games in the SEC. You knew coming in all along anyways, you're going to have to beat teams people don't expect you to beat. You knew that. You knew that. And that's still there. And if you ask most people after 5 games, everybody thought Carolina would probably be 2-3. Well, you still have a chance to go 2-2 over your next 4 and get there and then try to continue to improve. I think they will improve. And I didn't see anything, like I said, they lost the trenches. At times it looked like they were just getting whipped, but at times they also played well, but they did not win on either side of the line of scrimmage for the most part. They had some moments. So, and Enigbari had one, and Jordan and Zach Pickens had a good game. But mostly what I saw were really fixable issues. Like those things can be fixed. Like It's not like they don't have a quarterback. It's not like, they're gonna have some work to do at wide receiver, but there are things that they can fix. And I think that's the positive side if there is one in losing the ball game.
I thought there were a couple of positives actually to take out of the game. First of all, I believe it's National Beer Day today, so go get your beer at Dog and Duck. You got Bell Hall, Park West, and the Clemens Ferry location. So why don't you go ahead and do that? A couple things I saw, and I'll get your take on this first, just because I've heard from multiple people there that the fans made it feel, if you didn't look around and didn't realize that it wasn't full, it sounded and felt relatively full.
Yeah, it did.
So that's a positive. That shows the passion that that's there. I thought Parker White looked real good.
Yeah, he's good.
He looked real good. And like I said, I thought Colin Hill looked good. I think Quan White getting more carries, that's going to help, but that line's got to get fixed. However that's going to happen. And it's important to, as we said going into the year, how do you judge this team? How do you figure out how this year went when you look back on it? It may not be wins and losses. It may be really sitting back and watching how the team progresses, how they improve and where they improve, or if they are stagnant and they don't. And I think because it's going to be tough to gauge just by records. that'll be important to watch.
Yeah, they absolutely. They got to keep getting better, and they need to learn how to win. And they need, and unfortunately, he didn't have a good night. And I know he's a rookie out there, but Kai Kroger's got to punt the football better. I mean, this team, when Carroll, one of the things that whether you like it or don't, it doesn't matter. This is part of his DNA as a coach. One of the things that Will Muschamp has done his entire career is he will play field position. But you can't play field position if you can't punt.
Mm-hmm.
You can't flip the field if you can't punt the football.
Nope.
They got to punt the football. And he's got to be better. He's got to be better. There's no doubt about that. But, there were some good things, but they lost. They lost, guys. And I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. I'm not trying to. I might not be the fan that's ready to jump off the bridge about it. That doesn't mean that what I saw and what you saw aren't the same things. I mean, there's some things that need to improve. And I think that White and Fenwick, that combined 13 carries, that needs to be more than that between those two young men. And Deshaun Fenwick caught the ball really well out of the backfield too. He had 4 for 45. There was 2 wide receivers in this game, Darren, 2 that caught the football, Shy and Xavier Leggett. And in between those two, that was 14 for 201 yards. That's good numbers. There's got to be another wide receiver out there.
There has to be.
And maybe it's getting Jalen Brooks eligible. That might be the answer. I don't know.
Because you need another guy. You need a guy with size.
Yeah. They got to get open and
top
catch
to bottom, there just doesn't look like the size was there. That's what struck me most from just a big macro perspective looking at it. Just top to bottom, the size didn't look like they matched up with Tennessee.
Yeah, it was certainly a tough day for the Gamecocks. The series has always been close. You tip your cap to Tennessee. More on that coming up in a minute. Elsewhere, though, around the league and, well, really around the country, look, a lot of it went kind of how I thought it would, but with some exceptions. I mean, Bama was kind of Bama. They did, Missouri scored 13 there in the final frame, but I think Matt Jones did some good things, and Alabama wins, and they did fine. Georgia was in trouble, and now they've got good news because JT Daniels has just been cleared.
Yep.
So they survived that first game, 27. Spread was 27.5. But they had to get Stetson Bennett in there, the walk-on, because Zamir White just was not the answer.
No.
Unfortunately, though, Georgia, it took the second half to do that. They were down 7-5 at halftime. It was really strange. But they were able to pull away and win at Arkansas, so they are 1-0, and they should be better now with Daniels at quarterback. All the points in the league this weekend, you got Florida and what they did at Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss's defense is very good, but I do think their offense is pretty good, and Kyle Trask apparently is really good. And then, of course, the shocker. And JC nailed it last Wednesday. He nailed it. 44-34, Mississippi State over LSU. I don't know if LSU has as many problems as maybe we think they do. But here's what we do know, and this is what we touched on earlier in the summer, Darren, and I was anxious to kind of get a peek at this. And my initial thought on this was right, and I think yours was too. It's really hard to defend that offense if you haven't seen it, that Mike Leach offense.
And it didn't help that one of their guys ended up in the hospital right before, a starter in their secondary. The numbers, the stats that come out of this game, 3 different 100-yard receivers, including Kylan Hill. There was a 600-yard passing game. It's the most against a top 5 team in ages. I don't think ever. I think it is the most against an SEC team ever. Mm-hmm. But the numbers were silly. LSU could not stop them. One of the impressions from the Florida game that I took away was Ole Miss is better than I thought they were. The defense, I'm going to hold judgment on because Florida's offense isn't just Kyle Trask. They got a freshman whose name escapes me right now behind Trask. Yeah. Really good. Really, really good. So there's 2 of them there that can run that offense, and you can get the change of pace if you want it, but it's Trask's team. And we knew that LSU would be a question mark, losing all the guys to the draft. Is Miles Brennan ready to step in under that fire? Not apparently yet, not in week 1.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Mississippi State is there were really 2 totally different trains of thought coming into the season. It was going to be, look, Mike Leach is going to have to learn how to implement his offense in the league, and it's going to take some time, or he's going to catch somebody off guard real quick before somebody else catches on, and how you kind of try to slow this thing down a little bit. And the latter is what happened. And I like I really like what we heard last week from guys like Josh Pate and from JC and guys like that. We were talking about this offense and the point was made multiple times. You might have the best running back in the league in Kylan Hill. If you've got Kylan Hill, then clearly you're going to run the football a lot. No, he had 7 carries. I mean, they threw it 60 times, and he caught it a bunch too. So they utilized his talents in other ways. But obviously Mike Leach's offense ain't changing just because he's in the SEC.
No, and I don't think anyone really expected it to. And we said from the jump, we didn't expect. JC's the only one I know or saw that picked Mississippi State. But if you're going to get LSU, especially if you're Mississippi State and you're going to get LSU, week 1 was the time to do it. That was good scheduling for Mississippi State's purposes because we knew that it was going to be the Leach offense. We knew it'd be the air raid, but LSU has a lot to figure out. There are a lot of new pieces there.
Yeah.
So you got an offense that isn't overly sophisticated, so they can pick that thing up pretty quickly, going against a defense still trying to piece it all together a little bit, and they're going to get better. LSU will get a lot better.
Yeah, they'll get better.
But this was the time to catch them, and Mississippi State caught them, and it could kill LSU. We'll see.
Yeah, it could. It could. A&M didn't look good in that win against Vanderbilt. Again, it's really too early to tell with all these teams, and hopefully, Carolina fans are thinking similar about their own right now because A&M looks like they've got some issues. I don't know that Kellen Mond is going to be the difference maker that they're hoping. Vanderbilt's expected to be terrible, but the game here's another one, 7-5 at halftime. What are the odds of that? My
Two
God,
of them were
2 in the same league. I don't think they've ever even had one 7-5 at halftime in the league ever.
It was strange.
It was 2 on the same night. But is Vanderbilt a team who's going to up and beat a team or two this year that they weren't expected to win against? Is A&M a top 10 team? Is Alabama going to run them out of Tuscaloosa this weekend? I don't know. I don't know. We don't have all the answers right now. We're going to have to wait. This league is unforgiving, and every week it could be something different. So you could look up in a month and it'd be maybe what we thought it would be, or it could be entirely different than what we thought it would be. And of course, I don't want to leave this segment without dancing outside of the Southeastern Conference and saying, boy, is the Big 12 in trouble. Oklahoma losing to Kansas State, and Kansas State just lost to Arkansas State.
Yeah, an Arkansas State team that was down multiple guys when they beat them.
Right.
And K-State was down 20 in the second half in that game.
Yeah.
And Rattler was looking great. I said it during the game at one point. I said, remember when we were talking with Corey McCartney, who said, is there going to be Heisman fatigue with Oklahoma quarterbacks? Well, no, because Rattler looks ridiculous. And then they just Lincoln Riley's going to take a lot of heat for this, and he should. Rattler then throws a pick to end the game, so he ends with 3 picks, but 4 touchdowns. But that will kill the league. Texas and Texas Tech, can anybody stop anybody? Does the Big 12 get a team in the college football playoff?
Right now, it doesn't look good, but, we'll see. Here's the thing with Texas. They've put up 122 points in 2 weeks against 2 teams who can't play defense, UTEP and Texas Tech. They're averaging 61 points a game right now. So that's great. But they also gave up 56 to Texas Tech. But Texas is 2-0. And by the way, so is Oklahoma State. And we were criticizing them all week, but they're 2-0. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, 2-0 is 2-0 right now. It's better than where Oklahoma sits with a loss. Yep. So, but if you ask me today, especially with other folks returning like the Big Ten, even the Pac-12, will the Big 12 end up getting a team in? The answer right now, in my opinion, is no, because it's hard for me to think that, with what you just saw happen to Oklahoma, it ain't going to happen to Texas either at some point in time, or Oklahoma State. We'll see. But much more on that, certainly. All right, we do need to hit a quick timeout. When we return, we'll drive to Columbia. That's where we find Wes Mitchell. He's with Gamecock Central. He saw everything I saw, you saw, and we all saw at Williams-Brice Stadium. We'll get his take on the Vols and the Gamecocks right here on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen, when we return.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. Every 2020 Tiguan S, our best-selling third-row SUV, is $3,500 off plus 0 APR for 72 months. But wait, there's more. With $299 down, you can own the Tiguan S for just $299 per month for 72 months at 0% APR. Not just one at this price, over 22 Tiguans to choose from. All $3,500 off plus 0 APR for 72 months and $299 down, $299 per month. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, we are so desperate for used cars that we'll take any trade in any condition, running or not. We need your trade more, so we'll flat out give you more. And don't worry about your credit. Our lenders are more lenient than ever. So if you're interested in saving $3,500 on a new Volkswagen Tiguan S and owning it for $299 down, $299 per month, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or StokesVW.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Plus tax tag includes $399.50 closing fee. Offer subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
Hey guys, it's Darren, just here to tell you about our good friends over at Dog and Duck. They've got 3 locations, one in Bell Hall, one in Park West, and one, the new one, out on Clements Ferry. I can tell you from personal experience, it's the only restaurant in town that I've been to since this whole place has reopened. Everything is socially distant, very comfortable, and to top it all off, great selection of rotating craft beers, food specials every day, family meals. If you don't want to go in, you can order it and have some curbside pickup as well. Dog and Duck, 3 locations, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
The electricity here in Columbia, well, has been buzzing loudly all weekend.
Sit back and enjoy, everybody. Here come the Gamecocks. The rain breaks out in Columbia. And they're all sorts of riled up here in the Palmetto State.
Quick slam round, that's Debo at the 50, 40, give him a stiff arm at the 30, picked off. The Gamecocks have got it down the near sideline. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, Sean Smith.
He missed it.
He missed it. The Gamecocks win it. It's deflected and broken up. The Gamecocks win it.
All gas, no brakes, man.
Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, unfortunately, none of that happened on Saturday night, but it sounds good. Welcome back, 12:32 on a really rainy Monday afternoon here in the Low Country of South Carolina, but maybe not equally as rainy in the Midlands. That's where we find Wes Mitchell with Gamecock Central. Obviously covered the ball game this weekend. South Carolina falling to Tennessee, 31-27. Hey, bud.
Yeah, I think it's equally rainy on the Gamecock Central message boards, though.
I bet.
I know. God help you and all of your colleagues, Chris and Colin and all of you. Yeah, say a prayer each time before you log in because it could be rough. Yeah, look, Wes, you'll have to excuse my voice a little bit here, but clearly there are 2 big plays that most will focus on, and we know which ones those were. You know, the drop ball from Shy that was returned for a touchdown, and then, you know, the ricochet on the punt from Cam Smith, ending the ball game essentially. But Carolina had other moments in the game to win it, and they didn't get that done. What were some of those key moments in your mind?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a good point. No football game really ever comes down to one play, but I do think these close SEC games, you can probably circle 5 to 10 plays every single game and say that was the difference in the game. So certainly those plays you're talking about factored into that. You know, I think you look obviously at a dropped ball there late in the game that could have been a difference maker. Like you said, the pick six, the special teams issue there at the end. And, yeah, you know, and certainly both teams, I mean, Tennessee had their share of special teams issue as well, botching a punt early on, putting South Carolina in great field position. You know, I'd even go back to that. South Carolina has a 7-0 lead, early momentum, ball in Tennessee territory. And really was not able to do anything. And then for the rest of the game, it felt like Tennessee sort of controlled the field position, right? So that was really Carolina's only opportunity over in their territory to sort of get something going. So, yeah, I mean, they're certainly – I mean, you go back defensively, giving up the big play on the flea flicker. The 3rd and 1 early on where Jamie Robinson has outstanding coverage. The South Carolina rusher is absolutely tackled to prevent a sack, and then the ball just drops in and the kid makes an outstanding one-handed catch. I mean, if you go back over this game, if you're a Carolina player or coach or fan, it really is sort of brutal how it kind of played out. If one or two little things went differently across the course of this game, then maybe it's a different conversation. But I think that's SEC football, right? I mean, that's probably the way a good 6, 7, maybe 8 of these games are going to go this year, where it comes down to 5 to 10 plays.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the nature of this series, Wes. I mean, and you know that. I mean, you look at what's happened over the last 10-plus years, and generally it's just a few plays in this game. And if one goes your way, you win it. And if one goes the other way, you lose it. And that certainly happened for South Carolina. There are some positives to draw out of it, even though they lost the game. And I know that those that can't wait to hop off the nearest bridge don't ever want to listen to stuff like that. But, look, Colin Hill's the quarterback, Wes. You saw what I saw. I mean, he controls that offense. They just need to protect him. I saw 2 major issues. They got to figure out the offensive line, because he's not a Connor Shaw. He's not going to be able to dance around and run around back there and get out of everything. And yeah, they got work to do with wide receiver. It's thin, and it's not just from catching the football. I mean, I saw a lot of those guys. If you've gone back and watched it, you saw the same thing I did. One of them was Joyner, and he got blown up bad. They didn't block very well. They didn't kind of finish their routes off very well. I mean, those guys, they have serious work to do out there.
Yeah, and man, I mean, I think we've said all offseason, literally, hey, this is the biggest question mark on the team is going to be the wide receiver core. I actually commend Mike Bobo. I think he probably went into it and said, what's my best weapon right now? And I think 13 was probably the number that came up, and he said, I'm going to do everything I can to move him around, get him the football. And for the most part, they were able to, create some things by doing that. I think O-line play got a little bit better in the second half. They were able to run the football a little bit better. They found something out there on the edges. They were sort of pinning Tennessee inside and getting something going on the perimeter in the run game. But, yeah, certainly they've got to solidify that right tackle spot. And Colin Hill, I think for his first, real SEC versus SEC game, hung in there. He made some really nice throws. I mean, you go back to the pick six. That's one of those plays where just everything went wrong for South Carolina. And if any one given, facet of that play goes differently, maybe it's a different story. I mean, you break it down. There's pressure initially right off the bat. That forces him to step up and have to sort of make a quick throw. The throw is a bit behind the receiver, but the ball is still, catchable. Ball gets batted instead. Tennessee guy makes a big play, but then you can't get the kid on the ground. That's sort of the final nail in the coffin there. It's one thing if you tackle him at like the 20-yard line and give your defense a chance to make a stop, but you don't, and it's an easy 7 for Tennessee there. So that was obviously a big game changer. But yeah, I thought Colin Hill, especially as the game went on, made some really good throws. They let him put the ball down the field and stretch the field vertically a little bit more as the game went on. I think that was a key in the second half and something they're going to have to do a little bit more of. But, the game sort of, like you said, man, it played out the way many of these South Carolina-Tennessee games have. I mean, I understand the fan base being frustrated because it's another loss. And, going back to last year, they've experienced a lot of those this, last year plus one game. But also as far as just being surprised or anything, I mean, the game in many ways, the fact it came down to a handful of plays is sort of exactly what we expected.
I'd mentioned to Darren a little while ago, Wes, a lot of what I saw, most of it, the things that were negative are correctable. I mean, I didn't see like just a terrible football team. I just saw they made some mistakes and they probably need to find a couple a couple answers to a couple different positions out there, but these are correctable issues.
Yeah, they are. And I think the unfortunate thing for South Carolina right now is that you turn around, and you play a really good Florida team that is probably, based on, if we're going to overreact on week one, probably the class of the East right now. And so you go there. So, congratulations. That's tough. And if you had found a way to win this first one, there's not near as much pressure, right? And then you got Vandy in week 3. So, but that's life right now. 10-game SEC schedule. That's what you have to deal with. They just have to start correcting some of those issues. Again, I go back, like you said in the beginning, receivers, they need to, I think they're going to have to have guys step up. They're going to have to continue to get some other guys involved there. I think as the year goes on, though, Rico Powers, Luke Doty, Jakari Caldwell, they're going to get their opportunities. But, I mean, some of the freakouts on Twitter, I mean, in the first half, people online are calling for Colin Hill to get benched. And it's just like, all right, we've got to let this season play out a little bit. We got to let the game play out a little bit first, we got to let the season play out a little bit. The younger guys, I think we saw, I thought Zach Pickens, my eyes were drawn, and I know I'm jumping around, y'all, but my eyes were drawn to number 6.
Absolutely.
Like, I think that guy's got a chance to be really, really good. Yeah. Birch flashed. The freshman receivers are going to get a chance eventually. But when you're going into an SEC game right off the bat, right, coaches are going to go with the kids who have played more, the kids who have been most consistent in practice, and the ones they trust. But as this year goes on, I think you'll see Pickens play more. You'll probably see Birch play more on defense. You're going to see the young playmakers on offense get a chance. And you just have to hope, once they can sort of get their feet wet, that maybe, a Powers or a Doty or somebody in the offense can provide a spark to help out Shi Smith. And then that Xavier Legette can come on. I thought Legette had some good moments in this game, obviously. So there's something to work with there. It's just a matter of can they produce more and more as this year goes on.
Let me ask you this, because it was big news right before the game, whether it was Thursday, Friday, when we found out that Jalen Brooks was not cleared by the NCAA. Has that question come up yet again? Because it seems to me a big receiver would help the Gamecocks because they didn't look like they had the size.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. They're still, I don't have anything new on that. They're still, I think, pushing and hoping. Cade Mays obviously didn't get cleared by the SEC, but initially the NCAA denied him and then came back and they were able to get him eligible by NCAA standards. So, I think there's a possibility there. And really, if you're South Carolina, whether it's, week 2 or week 5, if you can get him at some point, that could be an added bonus. I think, nobody wants to hear excuses. It's the SEC. Nobody cares, but to me, it's a fact. If Jalen Brooks is on the field, if Marshawn Lloyd is on the field, the offense that we saw Saturday is a little bit different because we saw some flashes. I think you saw the plan, right? You saw what South Carolina was trying to do. Mm-hmm. Just right now, they're still so unproven when it comes to playmakers that there's going to be times when this offense bogs down like we saw sort of in most of the first half, frankly, other than that opening drive.
Yeah, if you understand offense just a little bit, you could look out there and clearly see that there is a system in place, Wes. And once the right pieces of the puzzle are plugged in there, I do think this will be a fairly successful offense. Let's remember, they did score 27 points, and they did have 3 touchdown drives over 70 yards on Saturday night, and they scored 1 touchdown in their final 3 games last year. So, this is it's going to get better. I think it might get a little bit worse before it gets better. As you do have to go to Florida, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. Real quick before you flip to the defense. And look, if you disagree with me, that's fine because generally you know more than I do, and that's why we have you on. I think that Kevin Harris is a really good back. I also think that Deshaun Fenwick and Zaquan White need the ball more. I watched both those guys. I went back and watched the game again last night, Wes. It's different when it's in their hands. And Fenwick, I think, had a total of 76 yards in the game. He started to get it more as the game went on. I know four catches for 45. One of them was about a 20-yard catch. and Andre White, he had some flashes, and then he had a couple runs that were stuffed, and I think some of that will improve if the O-line's a little bit better. But they're pretty good when the ball's in their hand. I'm anxious to see if their role increases this week.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. And it's sometimes, and I'm probably halfway through like my deep dive rewatch of the game. But I said to myself during the game, I was like, man, good things tend to happen or seem to be happening when 14 Deshaun Fenwick is on the field, which that wasn't necessarily my expectation. I thought White, and to me, White, it felt like there just wasn't as much blocking, that it just happened to play out like that he didn't have as much room to run, maybe made some things happen when there was nothing there and extended some plays a little bit. But yeah, certainly it's going to be running back by committee. But I think as the year goes on, maybe the roles sort of become a little bit more defined. Kevin Harris certainly earned his start and, played well and runs hard. But I do think maybe, you sort of figure out who does what best. Who do you want on the field more often? Who do you want on the field when it's more like you're needing somebody to pass block? Who do you want on the field in short yardage? I think maybe that does become a little bit more defined. But yeah, Fenwick, you gotta admit this kid has like come a long way since he arrived on campus, and you sort of start to pull for a guy like that, I feel like, and I'm curious to see how he can continue to get better. And like you said at the beginning, the O-line in both areas, pass blocking and run blocking, and the tight ends, something Muschamp mentioned. The tight ends, were pretty good in the passing game, other than the big drop, but the tight ends have got to do a better job of sealing off, I think, the backside and even front side, doing their job in the blocking game, because that was something I didn't notice. But, once Muschamp mentioned that on Sunday, that the tight ends needed to block better, my eyes were drawn to it. And, I think that's a big part of this running game moving forward.
And folks who may be just tuning in now, don't misunderstand the conversation we're having with Wes here. We understand that they lost the game. We're talking about the negatives, but we're also talking about the positives, because you got to find some. They got 10 games in this league and 9 left. They go to the Swamp this week, and they got to figure out what they can and can't correct with the players that they have. And I do think for the first time in a while, we thought this all year, and I don't feel indifferent about that. They have options. On the defensive side of the football, Wes, I actually thought they played well defensively. There was a couple of busts, and so certainly they're going to look to clean that up. If Izzy can't go this week, that's going to be a problem. If Sherrod Green can't go this week, probably going to be a little bit of a problem. They're not deep at linebacker, but they are talented, the guys that start. But you mentioned Zach Pickens, and I'm with you. This kid is good, and he had a really good game against maybe the best offensive line in the league, and I think his role will continue to increase if he doesn't start this coming week. J.J. Enagbare is who we thought he could be. There's no question about that. And Ernest did Ernest things, and that's what he does. He just makes a bunch of tackles. And I know you said just a little while ago that Jordan Birch flashed, and he did. He had a tackle, and it was a tackle for a loss. I watched him pretty closely, especially really last night when I went back and rewatched the game, Wes. He's good. And I don't know how much longer they can wait to have him on the field more and find ways to have him and Enagbare out there at the same time. Those are the two guys that are going to make a lot of plays in the future. I don't know what the plan's going to be, but based on what I saw, and I'm not an expert, dude's good. He needs to play.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, to me, Pickens and Birch just look a little bit differently, right? From a size and athleticism standpoint.
They're 5-star players.
Maybe than the other guys. And I think you're constantly, if you're a coach, you have to find this balance, right? Because they're seeing all the guys in practice, and I'm sure in a lot of these cases, the older guys know a little bit more about what's expected of them in practice, down to down, are able to be a little more consistent about knowing the defense. And the other side of that is we may sit here. So let's say you play all young players up front, and then we're sitting there saying, well, why is South Carolina getting gashed, in our hypothetical situation? And a lot of times it's because we don't know it, because we don't know the responsibility, but it's because that guy may look outstanding physically, but he's not ready to know exactly where he's supposed to be in any given situation. So there's a give and take. You've got to go with your veterans that know the scheme, but also there becomes a time when I think that talent takes over. So I think the deal right now, T-Rob mentioned it, I think, last week or the week before, whenever that was. He said, it's our job as coaches to put Jordan Burch in a situation where he can feel comfortable and go make plays. So I think as the year goes on, you'll see him get more and more plays out there. He'll get more and more comfortable, and the young guys will know the defense obviously better and better with experience and with practice. So I understand game one, SEC, you're going with your older dudes. And I sort of agree with that. It's not – we as fans want to see the big time, the 5-star guys out there, obviously. But as time goes on, I think 6, I think 3, those guys are going to be on the field more and more and more. And like you said, Enigbare, the PFF guys, Pro Football Focus, they have like this thing they call stops, I think, which is like you stop the opponent before they were able to have a successful play. And Enigbare had like 8 of them in the game, I think, which is insane. So, yeah, you got to get all those guys on the field eventually. And that should give you a little bit of hope as a South Carolina fan. So we'll just see how quickly, that happens. But Pickens, man, I thought from the very beginning, the second he came in the game, I was like, man, 6 is whipping his guy or holding up against a double team. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I necessarily saw that from a bunch of other guys. So I think certainly 6 right off the bat probably going to get to play a little bit more. Than as the year goes on, 3 probably gets out there more as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on Twitter at West Mitchell GC. Tennessee didn't have any drives that were double-digit play drives, 10 or more. They of course they scored some touchdowns. Like I said, there was a couple of busts there. He mentioned the flea flicker, and then there's that one where they kind of dumped it off to the dude in front of him. There was nobody around him, so obviously somebody missed an assignment there, Wes. So again, overall, look, you held Tennessee with 394 yards, I think, total yards. I think overall they played pretty well. I really do. I mean, you clean up a couple of those things, and that pick 6 doesn't happen and stuff like that. It's a different game, and we've been talking about that throughout this segment. That's generally what this series comes down to, and unfortunately, it didn't work out for South Carolina. I think here, this is what I think is most important, though. We can talk about every player on the roster if we want to, and every matchup there is, Wes. I don't know that this team understands how to win, mm-hmm. and that is where I have some reserve with what is the future of the football program under Coach Muschamp, whom I believe in. But until you learn how to win, you don't win. And I mentioned that to somebody last night, Wes, and they said, well, being positive about it. Well, if they can go down and win in the swamp, could that change things? I said, well, hell, they went to Athens last year and that didn't change it. So what does it take for a football team like this one to actually learn how to win?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, in some cases, they need a little bit of luck to go their way, maybe. It seems like it's been a long time since they had certainly they had some luck in Athens, but it seems like it's been a long time since some things have gone their way. And then it comes down to details, right? I think the reason that maybe when it comes down to those 5 to 10 plays, the reason you're on the wrong side of them generally comes down to attention to detail. And you look at the flea flicker, the linebacker who's the flat defender in that play, sees flea flicker, vacates the flat, rushes into the backfield into what ultimately ends up being towards the quarterback. And Garantano makes a really heady play, sees it's not open downfield, and just flips it back out to the running back who has now leaked out into the flat. Mm-hmm. Again, and we're sitting here talking about, hey, play some young players, but it's like, if your guy there just sort of sticks to the role, it's either a sack or a 0-yard play.
Right.
So I think ultimately it comes down to just finding and abstractly, finding a way to make – it's easy for us to sit here and say it, make those little details happen, because those are the difference in winning and losing. Finding a way to get away from a rolling punt. Mm-hmm. It kills you. And I want to say this, while I know we're sort of run up against it, but it's worth mentioning. There's a lot of people hating on number 9 on Twitter. And I got to say, okay, everybody saw the game, but he's in the arena, right? Like, he's putting himself on the line we all saw the mistakes. There's no point in bashing, the heck out of the kid. He feels as bad as anybody about mistakes, but some of the stuff defensively, this was his first real action in an SEC game.
Mm-hmm.
So him getting beat by an SEC receiver down the field, guess what? There's never been a cornerback that's never been beaten. Every cornerback gets beat at some point. The special teams play, yeah, it's a gut-wrenching way to lose the game. I'm sure Cam Smith feels as bad as anybody, but Cam Smith's going to be fine. So let's leave the kid alone. You can say, there were mistakes made, but let's not bash the person Cam Smith, because I promise you he's going to play a lot more snaps for the Gamecocks, and he's going to be fine.
Yeah, you're probably going to see it. That's a really good point. You're probably going to see him a lot this week if Izzy isn't able to go. I know he's day-to-day, and hopefully he is able to go, but he might not be able to. So you better get used to seeing Cam Smith out there, who I think will rebound and be fine. And Wes, let me correct you. He doesn't feel as bad as anybody. He feels worse.
Yep.
He's the guy that it happened to, and he's a damn good football player. We saw it when he was able to get in there a little bit here and there last year, and we've known it throughout the preseason. The kid can play. He had a couple bad moments, and maybe they cost him the game, maybe they didn't. I'm not going to put this whole game on him. I mean, I know one thing. He wasn't up there blocking for Colin Hill. He didn't drop a couple passes either.
No, and there's no telling whether that ball, if it doesn't hit his leg, you got 90 seconds to go down the field. There's no telling if that happens either.
No.
Yeah.
So, I'm with you. Let's turn our attention forward, though. It is Florida. They just hung 51 on Ole Miss. I like what Darren had to say about this earlier. Let's reserve judgment because, on the whole thing, I mean, they gave up 35, so does Lane Kiffin's offense at Ole Miss, is it really that good? Is it going to pose problems for a lot of different teams this year? Florida's offense, is it really that good? Which I think it probably has a chance to be pretty special, but, how bad is Ole Miss's defense? These are all wait and sees. This is week one, let alone week one in the SEC. What are you looking at here, Earl? I know you're still looking back at Tennessee, but as we move forward, what's most important in preparation for the ball game this week to keep them in the football game with another chance to win in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I do think back into the easier said than done category, you have to find a way to affect the quarterback a bit, because I think you look back at the game this past week, there were even some plays in the passing game that maybe Tennessee had available, but they missed, So you look at what Florida's done, what Trask has done. He's been a very accurate guy. They've done a good job of getting some new receivers ready. Plus, Pitts, the tight end, is outstanding. Matchup nightmare for anybody. So I don't know what you do schematically. It's going to be tough to match up. But also, like you said, man, it's week one. Ole Miss's defense is a huge question mark. And yes, Florida exposed it. Give them credit for going and doing that. But I don't think that South Carolina's defense is in near as bad of a situation, as Ole Miss is. So we'll see, man. It's still so early. We're still learning. We all like to think we know what's going to happen and that it's all figured out and we can predict this stuff, when we're really all pretty terrible at predicting it. So, and I'm speaking for the media, like in general, but we'll see, man. I mean, if you're South Carolina at this point, what do you have to lose? Literally nobody's going to be picking you. Nobody expects you to go win. If I'm that staff, I'm challenging the defense and being like, hey guys, literally nobody's giving you a shot to stop these guys. Go prove them wrong.
Do you think this offense, and I know we're up against time here, but we might miss it by a minute or two. Do you think this offense has, based on what we've seen the last couple of years under BMAC and then prior to with Kurt Roper, one game under Mike Bobo, is this an offense that will continue to improve because of the system that they're in? I mean, you're talking about what we're used to seeing under Steve Spurrier, hopefully, right? Where, look, week to week, there's a system in place. Players are going to understand their role a little bit better. We're not just kind of picking into a mixed bag every week and let's see what we pull out here. We know what we're trying to do offensively, and as guys continue to kind of calm down, learn their role, fill in the gaps, things like that, that week to week it's an offense that will continue to improve.
I think that's the hope. I think the question going into week two, okay, Florida's going to watch the film as well, right? They probably already have. now they're going to circle number 13. I said before, when we first started talking, that Mike Bobo probably circled number 13 and said, that's my best playmaker. If I'm Florida, I'm circling number 13. I'm saying that guy ain't beating me. So I think to answer that question goes back to Leggett, Joyner, Rico Powers, the freshman, Luke Doty, all those guys. Can South Carolina find another threat in the passing game to take that pressure off of Shi Smith and then allow Shi Smith to turn, to where they can't double team him, then you go right back to 13. So I think big picture, we're talking like down the line throughout the course of the year and then into next year. Absolutely. I mean, Bobo will fix this offense, but whether it's going to be improved even more from this past week to next week, I think it's going to be determined by those players and if they can continue to find a way to step up, I think.
Yeah. And you know what? Hey, guys, it has improved. It's improved since the last time we saw him out there, and it was terrible. It's much better. And Shi Smith, by the way, he is a, wide receiver one in this league. I mean, the dude can play, and I'm with you. You got to find somebody. And they got to run the football. I'm anxious to see Deshaun Fenwick, as you mentioned. It's a really good point. It seemed to just the fire was it wasn't as much flickering. It was more glowing a little bit when he was in the ball game, and I think White too. Those guys are going to have crucial roles, I anticipate, down the stretch.
Yep, and we'll see. It's never easy in the SEC, but that's why you play the game. So we'll see. And hey, guys, fans, you don't get to quit now. Like there's 9 more of them, so let's see what happens.
That's right. That's a good point. All right, Gamecock Central is where to be. The Insider Report posted just a little while ago by Wes's good friend Chris Clark. It's really good, and much more. I know throughout the afternoon and throughout the week, you'll have plenty to look back on in this ball game, and a lot to look forward to as the Gators and the Gamecocks are set to go at noon from the Swamp on Saturday. Wes, thank you so much. On Twitter at Wes Mitchell GC. He's a really good guy. You should follow him there. And we'll hopefully do this again next week, maybe with a surprise at 1-1. We'll see.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. You have a good one, okay?
There you go, Wes Mitchell. We rolled right through the top of the hour, so we need to hit a timeout. The national anthem waiting in the wings when we return. More football and the NFL, and, of course, Major League Baseball. The postseason is set. Ranger Merriweather at 1:30. And how about some game lines early out next week? We'll tell you where the Gators and the Gamecocks stand. It might surprise you a little bit. Hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. We'll be right back. The best cheesesteak in Charleston is at DB's Cheesesteaks. JB here. We say it every day, and we mean it. You voted for them. Let DB's Cheesesteaks in Avondale and West Ashley feed your family this football season. Use your favorite delivery app. Have them dropped off before your favorite game. And don't forget the boardwalk fries. They come with the Old Bay seasoning. DB'sCheesesteaks.com for the full menu. Hoagies, hot dogs, burgers, and more. DB's Cheesesteaks, the best cheesesteak in Charleston, the best cheesesteak for football.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
Hey guys, it's Darren, just here to tell you about our good friends over at Dog and Duck. They've got 3 locations, one in Bell Hall, one in Park West, and one, the new one, out on Clements Ferry. I can tell you from personal experience, it's the only restaurant in town that I've been to since this whole place has reopened. Everything is socially distant, very comfortable, and to top it all off, great selection of rotating craft beers, food specials every day, family meals. If you don't want to go in, you can order it and have some curbside pickup as well. Dog and Duck, 3 locations, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Lowcountry. Our back 9 is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Clamagore, and Vietnam experience. and we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the national anthem.
Live, loud, and online.
All right, final hour here on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen. Welcome back. Darren is to my left. I am Jamie. We'll be joined at 1:30 by Reggie Merriweather for a few minutes. We'll talk to him about the rest of the ACC and obviously look forward to Saturday night's game between Clemson and Virginia. You can watch on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and listen on the Podbean app. That's all free. JBandGoldwaterShow.com. Please follow us on social media at JB and Goldwater, and then individually, he is at Darren Goldwater. I am at Sports Radio JB. 843-321-8893. 843-321-8893. That is our phone number. A lot about the Gamecocks and the SEC in Hour 1. We have more on that coming your way in just a little bit, including a look at this coming weekend's game lines. If it's anything like what we saw this past week, could be interesting again. We'll certainly see. Real quick, though, in the NFL this weekend, first of all, you went 12-3 in your picks. I went 9-6.
Yes, so I am 36-14.
And I'm 30-20 on the season. Bears beat the Falcons. Hayden Hurst did have a touchdown, another one in that, former Carolina tight end. How about those Bills, man? They're 3-0.
Good call on your part.
35-32, the final there over the Los Angeles Rams. Wow, what a start for Buffalo. Really, really cool. Redskins drop a 34-20 contest to the Cleveland Browns.
The team.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I was over at Duck and Duck, and I was waiting for the game to start. So they got the games like auto-tuned, and it pops up. You know, it says, this is going to turn to Raiders and Bills at 1. Or it says, team at Browns.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, okay. Go team.
Football team, yeah.
Go team.
You can figure out Cleveland now. Yeah, hey, look, Baker, here's what you need to do, but the rest of it's going to land on the shoulders of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. 35 carries for 154 total yards, 2 touchdowns between those two, and they march to victory. 2-1 now to start the year is Cleveland. Titans beat the Vikings this weekend in the NFL. 31-30, really good game there. Vikings still haven't won a game this year. Titans, they're undefeated, 3-0. Jadeveon Clowney plays for them.
Yeah, and they're really good.
Yeah,
and Russell Wilson's thrown more touchdowns through the first 3 games than anybody ever.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cam Newton and the Patriots won, too. 36-20 over the Raiders, gave them their first loss of the year. Hunter Renfrow had 84 yards and a touchdown in that game for Vegas. 36-9 the final. 49ers over the Giants. Eagles went to OT, and it was a tie.
And that's it. It went to OT.
Yeah. But Joe Burrow had a nice afternoon, 312 and 2 touchdowns for him. Steelers beat the Texans 28-21. Colts over the Jets, big, 36-7. Jets are terrible. Panthers 21-16 over the Chargers, their first win of the year, even though Justin Herbert threw for 350 in the ballgame, 35 of 49. Good for him. But it was the Panthers. How about the backup quarterback for San Diego's Easton Stick? Easton Stick from North Dakota State. Remember that? I was always like, dude, this guy should be playing baseball. What's he doing? But he's the backup QB in L.A. Bucks 28-10 over the Broncos. Brady for 297 and 3 touchdowns in that one. Lions beat the Cardinals. And the Packers beat the Saints 37-30 in a high-scoring affair there. Drew Brees and old Aaron Rodgers, who's got Green Bay 3-0. Maybe they'll win the Super Bowl this year, and he'll hang it up and move with another NASCAR driver out to California.
Well, he's not happy about the fact that they traded up to get Jordan Love, and it's off to a very nice start for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, or maybe he leaves and goes to New Orleans when Brees retires.
That'd be fun. Just like a little quarterback carousel. By the way, Bears have announced that Nick Foles will start this week after relieving Trubisky and leading him to the win yesterday. Foles now the starter in Chicago.
All right. Dak Prescott threw for 472 and 3 touchdowns. Did have a pair of picks, but they lost. The Cowboys now 1-2 on the season. The Seahawks 3-0, and as you mentioned, Russell Wilson continues to shine. 5 touchdowns of the 27 completions that he had in the game, 27 to 40 for 315 and 5 touchdowns. It has been a remarkable start to the year, even with DK Metcalf getting a little bit careless down there towards the goal line. Everybody was like, what in the hell just happened? He still had 4 catches for 110 and a touchdown. Tyler Lockett had 3 touchdown receptions himself. And the Seattle Seahawks might be marching their way to the Super Bowl, folks. I know it's early, but 3-0, and they look really good with Russell Wilson.
There are only 2 3-0 teams in the league. One of them you probably would have guessed in the Seahawks. The Bears? Okay.
You mean the Bills?
Oh, there are 3. The Bills.
Yeah,
but also the Bears.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The Bears, the Bills, and the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have guessed that.
No.
doubt. And so there you go. That's your weekend wrap-up in the NFL. But there is a game tonight. Monday Night Football, Kansas City and Baltimore. Could be some points in this one, folks. 8:15 on ESPN. I think this will be a really good game. Like 35-30 type good.
This is one of those, people are posing the question, if you had to start a franchise right now, you want Lamar Jackson or do you want Pat Mahomes?
Pat Mahomes.
I would side that way as well. But this is intriguing. So this is we haven't been getting great ESPN Monday Night Football games in a long, long time. This one obviously is different. It is also 50 years to the day that the Chiefs were coming off a Super Bowl win and were also on Monday Night Football the following year.
Wow.
I thought that was a pretty cool stat.
That is a really cool stat. 843-321-8893. DB's Cheesesteaks there in Avondale and West Ashley. DB'sCheesesteaks.com for the entire menu. Have you not tried the cheesesteak yet at DB's? What are you waiting on?
Seriously.
The Buffalo Chicken Cheesesteak is the best cheesesteak you could possibly have. That's my opinion. But if you don't like a little spice, go ahead and get the original. Remember, the cheese is mixed into the meat. You voted it. Number 1, Charleston's Choice. The best cheesesteak joint around. They're in Avondale. Any delivery app that you've got in your phone, they're on it. DB's Cheesesteaks. Don't forget the Boardwalk Fries at DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. Into baseball we go. It is set, and it's ready to go tomorrow in the American League 1-8. It's the Rays and the Blue Jays, 5 o'clock on TBS. Also tomorrow at 3 p.m. on ESPN, the 2-7 matchup. That's Oakland and Chicago. I got a feeling that's going to be a really good series. The Twins and the Astros 3-6 matchup tomorrow at 2 o'clock. This one, by the way, guys, baseball back on ABC. The Astros, the 6 seed. Minnesota, of course, is the 3, and then the 4-5. It's the Indians at 4, the Yankees at 5. Tomorrow night at 7 on ESPN. Into the National League, it's the Dodgers and the Brewers, the 1-8 matchup, 10 o'clock Wednesday on ESPN. Also on Wednesday, here come the Atlanta Braves, the 2nd seed against the 7th seeded Cincinnati Reds, noon on ESPN, and the Chicago Cubs at the 3 seed, and the Marlins as the 6th seed at 2 o'clock on Wednesday on ABC, and then Wednesday evening, 5 o'clock ESPN2, the Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. The Padres at 4, the Cardinals at 5. So that's the postseason, Darren. It is, ready to go. It's going to be the most interesting postseason we've ever seen because we've never seen 16 teams in it. But that's what we've got. What are you most excited about?
I am most excited about my preseason predictions to see if they can hold true. I said Tampa, and I said the Padres. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. We need Clevenger. The Padres need Clevenger to be healthy, ready to go. Took another injury in their last or second to last game, so they need to make sure that they're squared away and ready to go. Also interesting that the Braves and Cardinals were set to match up for like 2 weeks, and then that changed in the last couple of games. So looking forward to that. How good are the Dodgers? I do think they get through the Brewers relatively easily. And on the AL side, the Indians, Yankees, and the Twins, Astros, 2 interesting series to watch. Plus all of it being played in random sites.
Yeah.
So the bubble.
Yeah. I mean, there's really no home team advantage or anything like that right now.
No, you wouldn't think so.
No. So, it's
other than batting last, but
yeah,
it's not like the crowd will do anything.
No. I mean, this is literally who's getting hot at the right time.
Mm-hmm. And who's going to pitch, because you need depth in pitching because of the way the schedule is without any off days, particularly early on. You need that depth. You can't do what the Nationals did last year. You can't use your 3-4 studs for 70, I think it was 6% of the innings. You need depth.
Brian Snitker has the Braves as the 2 seed. But let me give you these. By the way, let me give you these locations real quick.
Okay.
Just so folks know where. Well, it's everywhere. Let's just say this: nobody's playing at home. I mean, this is pretty baffling.
The wild card round, though, is at the home site.
At the home site,
yes.
Yeah. After that, once you get into the division series, the Rays Blue Jays winner and the Yankees Indians winner will be in San Diego. The A's White Sox winner and the Twins Astros winner will be in L.A. The Dodgers Brewers winner and the Padres Cardinals winner, that'll be in Arlington, Texas.
So the Padres and Dodgers Park are both being used.
Right.
However, if they play each other, they're in neither
they're not
park.
playing there, which doesn't make any sense to me. Braves Reds winner, Cubs Marlins winner in Houston, and then the championship series, the AL's in San Diego, the the National League is in Texas, in Dallas, Arlington, and the World Series is also there at Globe Life Park.
Yep.
But Brian Snitker has the Braves as a 2 seed with everything they've been through. Is he the National League Manager of the Year?
Well, he is going to have a strong running for it. I think.
What about Mattingly?
Well, I was going to throw Tingler and Mattingly out there because, one, what the Marlins took, what they took early on with their COVID stuff, I mean, and then all of a sudden they have a second baseman who's a medalist speed skater. Right. Seriously, that's true. And when the Padres hired Jace Tingler, everyone, including me, was like, who? I had never heard the name before.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Mattingly, even though they're 6th seed. I like Snitker as well because it hasn't been smooth. Remember, you had Markakis opt out, not back in. You had Freeman, who was on the shelf early on. Then he got hot, and he could very well be the MVP. The pitching was always kind of juggling it around. So I think Snitker has a strong case for it. Or do you just, or do you go Dodgers and Roberts simply because they won it all? But I would put Roberts behind Mattingly, Tingler, and Snitker.
Oh yeah, I would too, because we all know the roster he had coming into the year. I mean, they were just flat out loaded. I think, I think that the guy in San Diego is probably going to win it, but you've got 3 real cases there. I mean, you think about all the adversity that the Braves have been through, and they've just found a way to keep plugging along. They literally, I can't remember a year where you literally pieced together a rotation like that. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that.
It was almost week in and week out.
And I don't know that they could sustain that if they had to do it for 160 games either. But because an offense just is not going to click for 160 games like that. You're going to have a week here and there. It's just going to be bad, and that could be enough to keep you out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at what Mattingly did, and early in the year it was like these guys don't even have a business playing.
Yeah,
and that's what people were saying.
Yeah,
and they absolutely had business playing. They're in the postseason. I mean, it's just a remarkable story. It's a remarkable story.
It is. I mean, it's a story that can be made into a movie. If they make any type of run, it's definitely going to be a movie.
Billy Beane got a movie.
Uh-huh.
I mean, some of these guys deserve one. I mean, it's just a remarkable story. So, but I am fired up for the postseason. If you're not a big baseball fan, haven't been watching much of it, baseball playoffs are different, and it's fun. Mm-hmm. And it all starts tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m., the very first game, the Minnesota Twins and the Houston Astros. That one, of course, on ABC. Followed up an hour later on ESPN with the Athletics and the White Sox, 5 o'clock, the Blue Jays and the Rays, and then tomorrow night at 7, the New York Yankees and the Cleveland Indians. So excited certainly to see that. We'll be following along with any local connections in the postseason this year. As well, certainly the Yankees and Brett Gardner and I don't know.
Clark Schmidt too.
Yeah, is Clark going to be officially on the postseason roster?
I'm not sure. I know he started the last game, second to last game,
and Aaron Boone said he's really excited about him. So
maybe
we'll see. Rosters are not in. I
Right.
think they're expected to be in by tomorrow mid morning or something like that. But we'll keep our eyes peeled. All right, 1:20. We do have Reggie Merriweather joining us coming up here. In about 10 minutes or so. Let's slide back into college football from the weekend. And I know we've spent a lot of time around the SEC, Darren, but this is hard to just not look at. I mean, you're talking about a league that for years and years has really pinned its hat on defense, and it will continue to. I mean, this as fun as it was to see, unless you're an LSU fan, what Mike Leach and that offense were able to do on Saturday, you still have to acknowledge that you have to play some type of defense to be successful in this league, period, the end. Now, that has changed in what that expectation is over the years. I mean, there was a time not too long ago, I mean, you could go back just to the, quote, game of the century in 2011 between LSU and Bama when it was like, what was it, 6-3 or whatever the final score was.
Yes.
And those days are over.
Yes, long over.
They're over. But in this league, if you can keep teams under like 20 points, 24 points now, you really had a hell of a defensive showing. And look, in the Carolina game, they only gave up 24.
Mm-hmm.
Bama, they gave up some late, 19 this weekend against Missouri. Georgia, I think, has the best defense in the country, and they gave up 10 to Arkansas, I don't think it's very good. And then, Auburn's defense played well. How about Vanderbilt? Their defense. And A&M, you got to give them credit, but Vanderbilt's offense it's bad.
That was the most odd of the games. Just
really odd.
Trying to figure out what in the world. It was almost like they're stuck in the mud.
It was
just trying to figure out, all right, time to play football.
Yeah, I really, I've been meaning to text Mike Morgan, and I'll do it today just to kind of get his thought on what he saw, because I didn't see much of the game, and just see what he thought, because he called it on the SEC network. But the other side is this: 58 combined points in the Tennessee-South Carolina game, 57 combined points in the Alabama-Missouri game, 47 combined in Georgia and Arkansas, which that's not an outstanding number, but it's still up there. Georgia, of course, had 37 of them, and they had 32 of those in the second half. 86 combined points, Florida, Ole Miss. 78 combined, Mississippi State and LSU. I mean, you had 7 teams who scored 30 or more points this weekend. That's a lot of points in the SEC.
It's a ton. I mean,
especially when you're in league play.
Yeah, it's a ton. But it's week 1. These teams don't have a whole lot of film on each other yet. All you're going off is last year's film. That's 1. 2, there isn't any of the warm-up phase. It's kind of like in baseball when out of the spring, pitchers are ahead of hitters. Well, maybe the offense is just a touch ahead of the defense right now. It's not like the Big 12 where nobody could stop anybody ever. The defenses will start to buckle down here, but I think week 1 is an indication of where the offenses are in the SEC right now. Carolina, nobody had Carolina, Tennessee as a game in the upper 20s, low 30s. We both had it as 20-17, 21-24. I didn't see any prediction that had it as almost 60 points scored in that game.
No. So I've been saying for a while, 4 touchdowns and a field goal, and you're going to win a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, look, had that happened for South Carolina, they would at least been tied.
Yeah.
So it would have given them 31. But is that the threshold, or is it even above that? Like, is this now a league where, not similar to the Big 12, because I think it's unrealistic to expect 35, 40 points a week consistently against the defenses you will see out there, even regardless of what you might have seen in week 1 here. Tennessee's defense is good. South Carolina does have a good defense, guys. Bama has a good defense. Georgia has a great defense, but Bama has a great defense. Florida has a good defense, and I want to see what happens moving forward with them. LSU gave up 44, but I still think their defense is good. Auburn, we know, has a great defense. A&M has a good defense. I mean, there are good defenses. You're going to have bad weeks, but there are good defenses. But to be on the upper end of success in this league, meaning, winning 7 or more games in a 10-game schedule, do you have to score 35 points now? Is that the new threshold?
I think some of it, too, is the way the game is getting played right now. There's an emphasis on tempo and number of plays you can run. It was highlighted by Clemson early on in their season already, saying, we typically had 50 or so plays and a half. Now we got up to 70. You're seeing that all around college football. So you're putting more strain on the defense. You're running more plays, and it's not just one side, it's both sides that are running more plays. So you're going to see more points. And then it's all cyclical, we know that. So then how soon will the defenses adjust and start making the necessary adjustments to combat what speed, tempo, and what they're seeing?
And look, and you're right, and it doesn't always work out that way, but for the most part, you're right. Tennessee against Carolina ran a combined, seriously, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
They only ran 55 plays on offense.
Is that right?
55. And, so how'd they score 31? Well, again, you had one that was a pick six,
Mm-hmm.
And you had a couple of busts. One of them was that little weird flea flicker that there was a busted assignment for South Carolina. There was one more bust, and they had 2 really big plays in that game that got them down close to the goal line. They were able to score. South Carolina ran like 20-something more plays than they did in the game. And so, clearly you can score a bunch of points if you don't run as many. But Carolina gave up 24 points on defense in only 50-something plays. Had Tennessee been out there sustaining, 10, 12, 15-play drives, would they have scored more? Well, I'd like to think they probably would have. There's a couple things to look at there. All right, so, they had a couple of big plays where they were able to get down the field and score quick. South Carolina was actually able to stop them in a lot of those drives where they only gave up, either 3 and out or maybe 1 first down, and then they were able to force them to punt, as did, of course, Tennessee to South Carolina throughout the game. But you saw that throughout the league, and this is really a league conversation here, not just in this game. Like, these teams are scoring faster.
Mm-hmm.
They have better athletes. They have, I think, better quarterbacks. I mean, it's easy to look at Costello clearly and say, wow, he's a difference maker. And then you look around the rest of the league and you look at Bo Nix and you look at Colin Hill and you look at Jarrett Garantano here, now as a senior. I mean, these guys, as the offenses have evolved, if you are a better than average quarterback, your team has a chance to really score points.
And it puts even more emphasis on that quarterback spot. I mean, everyone knows, if you don't have a quarterback, then you're in for some trouble. But now you need a dynamic guy. I'll take that to our conversation about Miami and Derek King. When we first saw them against UAB, my first thought was, that's it. This is who we are if we're the Hurricanes. And now we have seen that, no, that wasn't it. Maybe they were holding back some of the playbook. Maybe that just wasn't part of their game plan. But, yeah, they can fling that thing around too. You need a quarterback who can really put a stress on defense. If you don't have it, you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead in the water. No question. No question about that. 1:27 here on a Monday afternoon. Real quick, these are the rankings. The new Associated Press poll is out, and it's strange without teams actually playing football, but some of them are in there. Clemson's still at 1, Bama at 2. Florida is 3. So South Carolina will be on the road at 3rd-ranked Florida this week. The last time South Carolina went on the road to the number 3 team in the country, they beat them. It was Georgia last year. Georgia at 4, Notre Dame at 5, Ohio State at 6, Auburn at 7, Miami at 8, Texas at 9, and Penn State at 10. Well, You notice that I just listed 2 teams there who hadn't played a game.
Nope.
Ohio State and Penn State. Big Ten's not back yet, but they're in the AP top 25. UCF at 11, North Carolina at 12, A&M dropped 3 spots to number 13. Oregon is at 14. Guess what? They don't play until September, guys. Cincinnati at 15. And at number 16 is Mississippi State. They weren't ranked last week. They are now. Climbed way up there.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma State at 17. Oklahoma at 18. And Wisconsin at 19. Again, they have not played a ball game. LSU drops 14 spots to number 20, Tennessee. According to this, won against South Carolina and dropped 5 spots in the poll. BYU drops 4 spots, and they won as well. They are 2-0 at number 22. Michigan is at 23, and they hadn't played. And then there's Pittsburgh at 3-0 at number 24. They dropped 3 spots.
Pittsburgh deserves more respect.
I agree.
They're not giving up anything. They've held people, I believe, their first 3 opponents under 250.
Right.
I mean, they're not giving up anything.
On defense.
Yeah.
No. And there's Memphis at 25, and they dropped 8 spots, and they've only played 1 game this year. So is there or should there be stock in these polls? Not much. Not much. Because I just this is what other people think, and that's fine. But to sit here and think that Michigan, who has not played 1 game, should be ranked ahead of Pittsburgh, who's played 3 and won them all, that's not on my radar.
Nope.
Folks. That's not on my radar.
No. And even as a Penn State fan, I think it's a joke that Penn State's number 10 right now.
Yeah. I mean, if Carolina goes and pulls off some type of shiny, mysterious miracle this weekend against Florida, did they beat number 3? Yeah, they did. Was Florida really number 3? Probably not, because Ohio State hadn't played a game, and they're ranked 6th.
These early season polls.
Ohio State is ranked 6th, yet 4 people voted for them for number 1.
I get it. They think they're going to be good. But the early season polls, which typically mean
nothing.
Basically nothing, mean less than they typically mean now. Because we haven't seen these guys play. I mean, you have 2 of the 5 power conferences that aren't close to playing yet.
Right.
So
Florida,
so we don't know.
And Florida's number 3 based on their offense. But what about their defense?
We don't know.
So I'm just
Mississippi's quarterback looked real good. I forget, is it Corral?
Yeah, Matt Corral.
Yeah. Loved him.
Well, and, he had both those guys out there at the same time. He had Plumlee at wide receiver a bunch, and that caused some problems.
Mm-hmm. And they were sharp-looking baby blue uniforms, too.
Yeah, but it sure as hell ain't no damn land sharp defense like they had a few years ago.
No.
That's not good.
But I was a fan of just watching them play. They'll be fun. They're going to beat people.
And the ballparks in the SEC were still loud. I can tell you Williams-Brice is loud.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there. It was loud. It was definitely loud. Real quick, the news of the day out of Athens, JT Daniels cleared. He is expected to start against Auburn on Saturday.
That has not moved the line. So if you are interested, this morning it was a 7-point spread in favor of the Bulldogs, and as of about 5 minutes ago on mybookie.ag, still a 7-point line.
All right, we're going to get to more of those coming up next on the other side of this break, but that's after Reggie Merriweather. He joins us from Clemson when we return.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. Every 2020 Tiguan S, our best-selling third-row SUV, is $3,500 off plus 0 APR for 72 months. But wait, there's more. With $299 down, you can own the Tiguan S for just $299 per month for 72 months at 0% APR. Not just one at this price, over 22 Tiguans to choose from. All $3,500 off plus 0 APR for 72 months and $299 down, $299 per month. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, we are so desperate for used cars that we'll take any trade in any condition, running or not. We need your trade more, so we'll flat out give you more. And don't worry about your credit. Our lenders are more lenient than ever. So if you're interested in saving $3,500 on a new Volkswagen Tiguan S and owning it for $299 down, $299 per month, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or StokesVW.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Plus tax tag includes $399.50 closing fee. Offer subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks. Not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
Hey guys, it's Darren, just here to tell you about our good friends over at Dog and Duck. They've got 3 locations, one in Bell Hall, one in Park West, and one, the new one, out on Clements Ferry. I can tell you from personal experience, it's the only restaurant in town that I've been to since this whole place has reopened. Everything is socially distant, very comfortable, and to top it all off, great selection of rotating craft beers, food specials every day, family meals. If you don't want to go in, you can order it and have some curbside pickup as well. Dog and Duck, 3 locations, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
Hey everybody, what's going on? This is singer-songwriter Patrick Davis, and I might live in Nashville, but whenever I want to keep up with the South Carolina Gamecocks or even the Clemson Tigers, I can still tune in to JB and Goldwater because they are always live, loud, and online.
And I sing hallelujah. I do believe it's happening.
All right, 134. Welcome back. Final segment on this rainy Monday afternoon in the low country of South Carolina. Only a couple of days left in September. Welcome back, fall. It's coming here. In the next 48 hours, the cooler temps will arrive. Also, welcome back Clemson football after an off week. They'll be playing again this Saturday night, and Reggie Merriweather's going to join us to talk about that and much, much more here. Now, he won't be roaming the sidelines. He'll be sitting in the stands somewhere, though. 8 o'clock on the ACC network coming up on October the 3rd. Hey, bud.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on again, man. And can't wait for those cooler temps to slide in town because it's been good so far. Later last year it was in the high 90s around this time, but cooler the better.
That's right. Screw you, high 90s. It's football season. It's time to go. All right, Reggie. Look, we'll get to Clemson and Virginia here in a minute, but do want to kind of drive around the ACC with you here for a quick second because at the top of the league, you do have two teams that are 3-0, and there will be at least three of them after this coming weekend because Clemson ain't losing Virginia, folks. But Miami and Pittsburgh are 3-0 and 2-0 in the conference, and I want to start out with the Panthers, 23-20 winners this weekend over Louisville, and their defense this year has given up a total of 30 points through 3 games, and they're going to play Clemson at the very end of the season. I think that's November the 28th. So there's a long time between now and then. But what have you seen with Pitt? What has been – I know offensively they're not going to blow anybody's doors off. 21 points against Syracuse and 23 this weekend. But what do you like about the Panthers? Are they a team who can be a real player in this league, maybe battling for that second or third position?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that has hurt them in past years, because we played them 2 years ago in the ACC title game, was just the injuries. You know what I mean? And if you look at their team as a whole now, they come back with pretty much the same coordinator, same coaches, pretty much the same players as well. They lost a couple running backs here and there, a couple defensive guys, but other than that, they got everybody pretty much coming back. And what surprised me about that group again, it's just them. They don't ever change regimes. They just plug players into the system. They keep plugging along. So if you look at their offense, like they said, they're not going to wow you, with big plays, but they're consistent. They run the ball well. They use a tight end. They can throw the deep ball, and they keep you on your toes. But like I said, they play position football. They can punt it and play defense, and that's how they're able to win games. And like I said, a couple of years ago, they were in the ACC title game. Despite what the score was. I mean, there was a hard-fought, first half, and it was a great team that we played. But, Clemson came out on top. But, even Miami, too, looking at them, great quarterback play now.
Yep.
They have some consistency on offense, and they can spread the ball around. And, ended up, putting the foot into Florida State. Very, very down Florida State team, but they look really good. Both of those teams look really good.
Yeah, how about Florida State, Reggie? I mean, look, you played against the Noles in what was considered probably not the tail end of their prime at all, but certainly it was a very proud program when you were toting the rock for Clemson, and y'all had battles. They're 0-2, and I know Mike Norvell wasn't coaching this weekend because he's been in quarantine, but Reggie, they're not good, and they've given up 68 points in 2 games. One of those losses, I know you don't want to get your ass beat by Miami 52-10 when that's your big rival, and I understand that. But they lost to Georgia Tech. Their offense is god awful, and James Blackman ain't the answer. Maybe they beat Jacksonville State this weekend. Boy, they better hope they do because they're not going to beat Notre Dame or North Carolina. What do you see when you look at this program?
Well, and let's just take a step back. You hired a guy in Willie Taggart that you got from South Florida. You thought he would be the answer for in-state recruiting to keep some of these guys from leaving Florida. Anyways, you let him go literally a year and a quarter of a season, and you fire him. And he's probably still laughing to the bank with the buyout. and then you recruit another guy from the state of Florida, and this guy was he an offensive coordinator before? I can't remember if he was a head coach or offensive coordinator, but you bring him in, and he tries to kind of impose himself. This is the new Florida State. This is what we're going to be. And he posted all those videos and stuff online. He called out all these people, before the season. They posted all this stuff of them in practice doing all this type stuff. And it just takes time, man. You can't come in and try to, change the flavor, of Florida State just like that. It takes time. And then you've got these young kids that are trying to buy into a system that I don't really think he's even sure of yet. You think about Florida State in these last couple of years, even when Francois was there, they couldn't protect the quarterback. So what do they do this year? They go out, they recruit these guys, get them from the local area. They try to plug them into the system, and you get the same result. So if you couldn't protect Blackman, last 2 years, you come into this year, same offense, same everything. You don't have your running backs. You don't have your, great wide receivers. And you try to throw the ball down the field, and he's running for his life the entire time. So, didn't fix the issues from last season. He didn't learn from, the season before when the other head coaches were there. So it's kind of a domino effect. You know what I mean? Like, I think Blackman can be a really great quarterback. He's put on a little bit of weight, still looks like a beanpole, but he's a prototypical guy, over 6, I think he's 6'3", 6'4". He can stand in the pocket and deliver some of the throws, but, I can't blame him for having happy feet and throwing errant passes every now and then, because he's been hit so much. So, again, you didn't fix the offensive line. The running game is not what it should be or what it used to be. Didn't recruit very well, and, that's just the thing. And it takes a long time for people to buy into a system. So, Willie Taggart had his woes there, and, they paid him to leave, and now you got a new guy in, and they're going to take their lumps this year. And maybe next year they may come back fighting and look better. But, it takes a lot, man, to get blown out like that by your in-state rival. And, man, it's just tough. Tough to be a Florida State fan.
It's Mike Norvell. He comes from Memphis, and everybody loves this offense, and they can only put 23 points combined on the board to start the year. They better beat Jacksonville State, I tell you that. Or I know, it's so early in his tenure, but fans, a lot of them don't really know what they're talking about. But a lot of them actually have a bunch of money, too, and they might just start saying, the hell with this.
Remember, he didn't coach yesterday or Saturday.
He is going to coach this coming Saturday. He's been cleared. Miami, by the way, folks, is off this weekend, and then it's Clemson in the upstate. But Clemson will not be off this week because they've got Virginia coming to town, who hasn't played in a little while. Last time they were on the field, we saw them beat Duke 38-20.
That was Saturday.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah.
Golly, yeah.
But they hadn't played until then.
I am really. I've got 16 notes in front of me, Reggie, and I'm screwing myself into the ground here. They hadn't played in a little while, and then they finally played on Saturday against Duke, and they beat them 38-20. Duke might not be what maybe some of us thought Duke could be after week one. When they played decent football up there in South Bend against Notre Dame. But Virginia puts 38 points on the board. What did you see there? What impressed you about the Cavaliers?
Well, they have a good little running game too. I think they play defense very well. But I was more concerned about the ground game and how they were able to run it and get bodies moving, north south. So we're going to have to pay attention to that. And they didn't really throw the ball down the field as much. But again, they incorporated tight end, they incorporated the running back into the passing game, and that's where they were able to find success. So, Clemson's got a young secondary, young defensive line, and it's kind of one of those things too, where you just have to come and play, line assignment football, and just let your talent just go and play, have fun. And I think the coaching staff again will have them coached up for this week, man. Great bye week. They learned from the film their mistakes, got healed up on that offensive line too, and these guys will be ready to go on Saturday.
Yeah, Virginia's interesting, right? Because they put 38 points on the board. I do like their ground game. I still can't pronounce the kid that got the bulk of the carries, Tally Papa or whatever his name was. There's a bunch of weird names out there right now. The Armstrong kid at quarterback, I'm not surprised he's starting, but when Katon Thompson transferred in from Mississippi State, I thought, they might have a real battle, and this kid went out there and flung it around 45 times. But the flip side of the football, they picked off former Tiger Chase Bryce 4 times. Defensively, is this a Cavaliers defense that can at least maybe keep them in the game and maybe in the first half this week and try to get to halftime and try to figure some more things out?
Well, I tell you what, know as much as I do, about the game. So you think about the matchups, those corners versus our wide receivers, the height wise, that type of stuff, and it's going to be a gamble. I think their secondary is pretty good. I think that their interior is pretty strong as well too.
Yeah.
But that's where it comes down to coaching and being able to, mix up the runs and the passes and just keep them on their toes. It's kind of one of those things too where Trevor Lawrence has more rushing touchdowns than Travis Etienne because they load the box and they're able to run the RPOs, which is run pass options, and they're able to score in the red zone and be effective and efficient. So. I think it's going to be one of those things where it comes down to, Clemson maybe going up by 2 scores and then, them kind of pouring it on. And as you have seen in the last few games that they played against ACC opponents, it's like, when the points start going up, then they start feeding into the spread and all that good stuff and maybe putting their heads down a little bit. But, I think that this Virginia team is very good. And they're going to win some games, like Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest is a good team. They didn't. I think they scored 13 points against us, and then they come out that next week and put up 40. So again, every team that we play has really good quarterbacks, really good offenses. It just comes down to the scheme and with the coaching staff, with Venables and with Dabo and Tony Ellett being able to call these plays and some of the stars that we have, it's been really working out for Clemson. But I think it's going to be a really good game. And hey, you're playing a top 5 team, prime time Saturday night. You got to be up for the game. So I think it's going to be a good one.
No, they're playing the top 1 team, Reggie. They're number 1.
There you go. Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, they're playing the top 1 team. Even though the the AP boys now they're putting all these teams back into the rankings. Hadn't even played a game yet, but they're still number 1.
They are.
They didn't have any of those AP boys putting Ohio State over Clemson without playing a game yet. Probably a smart move there.
Give them a week.
Yeah, the more hype, the more Herb Street. Herb Street's got a problem. He's got 2 kids on the Clemson team, and then he played at Ohio State.
He's not biased at all.
No, he's not. I'm just kidding. I can't stand when I see people all the time. That damn Herb Street, he hates us. No, he doesn't. He doesn't hate anybody. No. Hey, so Reggie, what has been the primary focus this week for Clemson in camp, in practice? I mean, I know you just mentioned a couple of things here, and based on what we saw this weekend, what you're going to have to get ready for from Virginia. By the way, I really like those linebackers. That I think is Zanders and other kids, the Jackson kid. I think they had about 30 tackles between the 2 of them. Pretty good players there. But what's been the focus this week? What have they been trying to improve, even though they started out the season really well?
I think the passing game. I mean,
wow.
Honestly, I think they're still working on the timing. I mean, again, you're missing the number 1 guy, in Ross, but, you've got a lot of young guys. Joe is one of those guys too, freakish. He's probably got a 10-foot wingspan. The kid is 6'4", almost 240 pounds. I mean, you've got Ladson. You've got a bunch of guys there that played really well. The first game, Ladson came out of the shell. The second game had a couple of big catches. But I guarantee you that wide receiver room with Amari Rogers and Ladson and a few of those guys, they're just talking to themselves saying, hey, we've got to be better. And obviously, you think about what they've been able to do, like I said, these last couple of games with the deep passes and stuff like that. They still had drops. They still had plays where, they missed blocks and missed assignments. So I think it's the wide receiver room really that's going to have the biggest game this week. And, you got to come out there and play and catch and just, the heart of this team is definitely the wide receivers. That's the deepest group we have on here besides the running backs. And with Trevor Lawrence spinning the football, you got to come to play every day.
It's so crazy to hear you say that because here's Trevor, I think he's completed 81% of his passes this year. But you know what, you really make a good point there. Is if you look deeper in the numbers, as the season goes on, they're going to need more than Amari and Frank and EJ and those guys and Joe and some of these, Cornell Powell's probably going to need to step in and play really well down the stretch. Do you think, Reggie, that this weekend's ball game is going to be a much more physical test for Clemson based on what we've obviously seen? Wake Forest, I don't want to call them finesse, but they'll certainly sling it around a little bit more with Sam Hartman out there. I know the Citadel, runs a triple option, and God bless them. But we all know that was a mismatch. But is this the most physical contest we're going to see this weekend on both sides of the football, but maybe even more so on the defensive side for Clemson, who've played a ton of guys this year?
Yeah, and Virginia's going to come in. They're going to try to run the football. I mean, that's how everything is set up. You got to run the football to be able to pass it. And if anybody knows anything about football, when they bring in the 2 tight ends, they mean business. So I think you'll see a few tight end sets. I think you'll see them run the football, try to get outside on the edges of Clemson. And, they're going to try to take their shots down the field. Watching that first game, I said, Clemson's secondary, it's pretty much brand new. Everybody's had playing time, but they haven't started as an entire crew before. So a lot of people, are going to test them early. So I know they're going to try to run the football, get on the edges, and try to do some quick plays. And like I said, again, this defense in Clemson, even though these guys have had playing time last year, this is some of these guys' first time starting. You look at Brian Brisset and a few of those guys up front. This is their first action, that they've had in college football. So it's the first time they're playing Virginia. So you got nerves, you got a lot of fresh people in there and new bodies. So I think they're going to try to take advantage of that and get on the outside. But again, it all comes down to the coordinators and the calls they're able to make. And it's, for some reason, like I said, again, it's not necessarily Jimmy's and Joe's all the time, but for some reason Brent Venables is just on the top of his game right now. He called a phenomenal game in the first 2 against Wake Forest and then against Citadel. So, it's hard to get shutouts, man, especially against triple option, but they were able to do it. So, hey, Virginia's next one up. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a great calling game for him as well as that defense. So, like I said, I'm excited about it, man. These young guys have a lot to prove, and again, even though they're number one by their name, they like to keep just play one game at a time, one Saturday at a time, and these guys are all in for Virginia.
Virginia has not beaten Clemson since 2004. That game was in Charlottesville that year, and they certainly didn't beat them this past December because Clemson hung 62 on the board against the Wahoos in the ACC championship game. Is there anything at all, final question here, from that game that translates to this weekend?
No, I don't think it is. And the reason why I said it is you've got new people. You've got new people all around. Yeah. And like I said, again, for the younger guys, this is a brand new game for them. They were playing high school football last year. Now they're in Division I big league. So for me, just looking at both sides of the football, we got to catch the ball better. We got to block better. We've got to tackle better. And then for, Virginia, thinking about them, man, they put up 38 points last week against Duke, being able to win that game, and they played very physical. So, I don't think they're going to outplay us per se, but, you can't win on paper. You have to go out there and play one down at a time and be physical. And I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be one of the most physical games we're going to play this season. And like I said, again, after them watching that film from last year in the ACC title game, that's got to be a little bit of revenge in their scheme for this year. So it's going to be a good one. 8:00 kickoff. Going to be under the lights, and got to be excited to play this number one team.
You'll be on the air at 5:00. Did they at least give you a good seat to call it from, Reggie?
You know what?
That's a no.
I look at as I was standing on the edge of the end zone in the bleachers. I was a little bit upset that I was standing there and not on the field. And I see all these people walking around on the field, so I was a little bit jealous. But you know what? I'll be in somewhere good this week for sure. Walking around the stadium, might be in the press box somewhere. You never know.
Hey,
where's Reggie?
Look,
we'll just play the game.
If I need to call D-Rad, I'll call him. We can't let this happen. We got to get you on the field somehow. This is ridiculous.
Got to, man. I thought about hopping the gate, but they still got all that security going on, so I didn't want to get toted off. But
dude, none of those guys want any piece of you.
No.
Didn't they ever see you run the football? They don't want to stand in front of you. They don't want a piece of that. No. Hey, man, really looking forward to it. I got a gut feeling when we talk to you next week. Guess what? Clemson's still going to be undefeated. They'll be 3-0. But we'll get the full breakdown from none other than our friend and yours, Reggie Merriweather. Hey, by the way, it's National Drink Beer Day, so have one on us somewhere.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys for having me on again, man, and go Tigers.
It's also National Family Day, and you're like family to us. So happy National Family Day.
I appreciate that. All the love, man. Send me some oysters up this way, man.
Oh, okay.
Since y'all down in the low country.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not quite oyster season. I know they say months with an R, but don't eat them in late April or too early in September.
October.
Yeah, there you go.
October. We got, 3 more days?
Yep, October to March. October to March. That's what you want, no doubt. We'll send them to you. I'll get Darren on that. He'll get down there and pick some up.
Yep.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks again.
Thanks, brother. There you go. Reggie Merriweather, former tailback of the Tigers, roaming the sidelines 8 o'clock Saturday night on the ACC Network. What day is it? Well, it's National Drink Beer Day. I just said that. I guarantee it's always National Drink Beer Day for Darren.
It's a good day for it.
You've been celebrating this for about 20-something years.
It's a good day for it.
Yeah, legally at least. It is also National Family Day. You are like family to me, so happy National Family Day.
You too.
To my family, you got it. We love you. I think yesterday was National Sons Day.
I saw that.
It was National Daughters Day at the end of last week, remember?
Where we were on, right. And then I think yesterday or Saturday was Son's Day.
Yeah. So,
I don't have a son.
I do. Capers. He's
JoJo. My bad, dude.
Yeah, Capers is 12. He'll be 13 in January.
Yeah,
It's
my bad,
boy.
JoJo.
It is also National North Carolina Day, which I'm a South Carolina guy. I'm talking about the state here. But do love going up to Maggie Valley, so celebrate in style and be careful. It is National Strawberry Cream Pie Day.
Yeah.
And it's National Good Neighbor Day. So be a good neighbor.
State Farm is here.
Yeah, State Farm is here. And so is JB and Goldwater. And if you've had some issues with your neighbor, maybe today's the day you settle it.
Yeah, go bring them a beer. Say, my bad, it's National Beer Day. Let's like each other.
It's also National Family Day and National Good Neighbor Day, and so we all want to love around here.
Yeah.
So either that, or if they don't like it, just drop a beer off and punch them in the face and move on.
There you go.
No, don't do that.
You don't need to make up with them.
Don't do that. HolyCityDriveIn.com is where you'll want to go for the drive-in movie series over at Patriots Point. PatriotsPoint.org is where you can get your tickets to visit the museum, the Laffey, the Clam-Gore, the Vietnam War exhibit, and, of course, the USS Yorktown and much, much more. They present our national anthem every day at 1 o'clock, and then the Holy City Drive-In movie series is on Fridays and Saturdays. Generally, sometimes they'll change the schedule around on you just a little bit, like they did this week, coming up on Friday only, no Saturday movie. Just Friday. It is, though, Ghostbusters. I wonder if Bill Murray will be over there watching his own movie.
That'd be cool if he was.
That'd be pretty cool.
It would be very cool if he was.
Yeah. So Friday night, catch a flick with your family. You head to HolyCityDriveIn.com for facts, showtimes, tickets, and more. Next weekend, it is Scream. You remember when that movie came out? Man, that was a phenomenon, man.
Yeah, you could still see the white outline of that mask for the Scream mask, which then every kid wore for Halloween.
Everybody for a while. I mean, that was like a big. They're coming back, by the way.
Those masks are?
Yes, they are making a comeback.
Oh,
yeah, they're a hot seller right now.
All right. Well, if we have Halloween this year, there's a petition going around our neighborhood to have it. So I'm assuming we'll have it.
Oh, we're having it in our neighborhood. They've already said that. So
I don't know if petition's the right word, but I know people want to have it.
Come on, guys. Just do. If you're that concerned about it, just bag up the candy and leave bags out there. It's pretty simple.
Most of it's wrapped anyway.
Or put it in Ziploc bags.
I see what you're saying.
Might take you some time. Or just use a shovel. Just shovel and drop. Shovel and drop.
Yeah, use a shovel.
You know what I'm saying? There you go. All right. Tomorrow we got, I don't know who we have tomorrow. Perry Orth. He'll be with us, and we'll get his take on Colin Hill's performance and the Gamecocks in its entirety. Obviously, talked a ton about that bowl game today. What's tomorrow? Tuesday?
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
Maybe Gene. We have Will Muschamp's press conference tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try to squeeze in what else we can.
Yep. We'll get a view from the Florida side of things at some point this week, whether it's tomorrow. That's possible.
My.
Maybe.
Maybe. My. One of the great calls out there.
So. I don't know who we'll have yet, but we'll have someone from the Florida side.
We know we have J.C. Sherbert this week, Corey McCartney back in Atlanta as well. The Braves in the postseason, much, much more to get to throughout the next few days on the JB and Goldwater Show until we get to the weekend football again. Wes Mitchell, Reggie Merriweather, thanks so much to them today and always on Mondays around here. And my good buddy Darren Goldwater, who works a hell of a lot harder than it looks on that screen, I promise you. There's a lot going on, and he does it quite well.
Thanks, man.
Enjoy your rainy afternoon in the low country, and maybe it's sunny where some of you are somewhere else. Enjoy that as well. And we're out of here. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Back tomorrow at noon.